Okay. Okay, so thanks for coming out here. I know it's cold and it's dark and it's a long ways away. You guys are home. You're cozy. But thanks for coming out. We're super excited to show you what we have. My family personally has benefited from the products a ton. We've been on them for about 8 years, right?
Oh, well.
About 8 years or so.
I've known about them for 8 years.
Yeah, so, yeah. So we love it, and we're super excited because we have an awesome team here. We have Dave and Mackenzie, who is father and daughter. They're awesome. Their family has also benefited from the products and the business as well. And so we just want to give a warm welcome to Mackenzie and Dave. And I think Mackenzie, you're going first, right? She's going to open it up for us. And hopefully we can just shed some light on some information about some nutrition we have to offer, a lifestyle to offer, and whatever else you want to take out of it. So go ahead.
Thanks, Stephanie. Hi guys, and thanks for opening up your home and everything for us. I'm excited. I'll open this, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Before I introduce myself, well, I'll introduce myself and then we'll watch a short little video to kick things off. So my name's Mackenzie and my dad is Dave. And I've been on the products for about 10 years now actually, but just started running with the business about 2 years ago, and it's changed everything. That's my husband George right there with the camera.
Yeah, sorry George.
He's the cameraman.
Cameraman.
He's hiding behind the camera.
And just in a nutshell, so you can have just kind of know where I come from with this, and I'll introduce my dad later on, but my husband and I, we just knew that we wanted something different than working the 9-to-5 life and paycheck to paycheck, and we had already watched my dad have huge success with this, and so I already had a huge belief in the company. And so when we were engaged to be married, we just said, you know what, let's do this. We want that freedom. We want to own our own lives, design every single day, not have someone else telling us what to do and calling the shots. So needless to say, it's changed everything, and we're both retired now and running our own lives and helping people do the same thing because we're so passionate and feel obligated to share it with other people because of what it's done for us. So we'll get started just with this short video. I don't know if you want to hit the lights or let's see, just push the arrow and it'll go right.
This is good.
Yeah, that's
very good.
All right.
I believe that every entrepreneur is looking for the right company at the right time.
Everyone deserves the chance to walk through life with a healthy body.
I believe every athlete deserves a system of products that will give them that competitive edge.
Age is just a number.
I believe everyone deserves an opportunity to create real
I'm Jim Cooper.
And I'm Kathy Cooper.
And I'm Eric Cooper. And we believe that everyone deserves to be with a company that cares about its people and wants them to succeed.
As you can see, Isagenix is a gift that is changing people's lives both physically and financially.
And we invite you to experience what Isagenix can mean for you and the people you care about. Sign me up.
Yeah. I get so pumped every time I watch that. I don't know if you want to you can leave the lights like this. Is it good like
Yes,
this?
that's good.
Okay. I get pumped every time I watch that. It's just makes me excited all over again. So before we start, just a little disclaimer. This is for training purposes only. This product and training is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any illnesses or diseases, and none of these statements have been evaluated by the FDA. Okay? Cool. All right, so tonight I am going to go through these first 3 pillars, and then I'm going to turn the time and introduce my dad, turn the time over to him to finish it off. These are the core products of Isagenix and what everything else is kind of built on. If you know about these 4 things, and you will have a really good sense of why everyone needs Isagenix. So I'm excited to go over those. Okay, can anyone answer this question? You are what you eat. Thank you. You are what you eat, right? So if you eat Twinkies every day for 30 days, what are you going to become? A giant Twinkie. Right? So it's really important that our bodies are getting the nutrients that we need. There's essential nutrients that every single person absolutely needs to function at the optimum level, and not only get those nutrients but absorb them properly. So we're going to go over that and why that's so important. So there's a huge problem with our diets, and basically it's leaving our bodies undernourished. We have over 100 trillion living cells in our body, and they absolutely need 90 essential nutrients to function at their prime level. 60 of those essential nutrients are minerals, so just keep that in mind. And the problem is those nutrients are missing from our food. There was a documentary done, I don't know if any of you've seen it, I don't know if it's on Netflix or not, but it's a really great documentary. It's called Food Matters. And basically they're talking about this issue and addressing this issue of our food being depleted of nutrients, and that it's absolutely necessary to supplement. So if it's necessary to supplement, then the question is, well, what supplements are best? What should I be putting in my body? Because there's so much stuff out there, right? I believe it was LA Times, if I'm correct, did a study on supplements where they pulled 23 different supplements randomly off the shelf, and they wanted to see if what they were claiming was in the product was actually in the product. So they experimented pulled 23 off the shelves, and they discovered that only 3 out of the 23 had what they said was in the product. So there's a lot of things that are misleading that can really, it causes people to be misled. Like the little, I remember my dad mentioned this, the little acai berry. It's like kind of a hype thing these days. There was a supplement with the acai berry on the front, and it wasn't even in a product. So that just tells you, trying to draw you in with all these misleading things, but you have to really be aware of what are in the supplements. So we need to supplement, but we'll talk about what you should be looking for and why, which supplements you should be taking. This is a graph that shows this blue line. starting in 1948. It was a study done. It was done by the, let me remember. Oh, the Department of Agriculture. They did a study where they were showing the decline in minerals in our soil. So as you can see, the blue line, starting here in 1948, the soil was rich with minerals, but then it started to decline. It hits a low point at 1963, and then the red line shows a rise in diseases. So that's a direct correlation right there. That's not just some random coincidence, right? When our soil, our commercially grown soil, where we're getting, everything is being grown and ending up on the shelves of grocery stores. When there's no minerals in that soil, there's no minerals in our food, right? And there's a rise in diseases. And the reason for that is because right around this time, they started spraying the soil with different types of, pesticides, herbicides, larvicides, different things. And what it's doing is killing the top layer of the soil, the ecosystem that helps break down the minerals, which our food then can absorb. So remember I said 90 of those essential nutrients are minerals, right? So if our food is lacking 60 of those 90, do you see why that would be a problem? So, yeah, I mentioned that, out of the 90, 60 are minerals. So, just keep that chart in mind. Let's see. There's a man by the name of Linus Pauling, and he holds 48 PhDs and I believe 2 Nobel Prizes. And this is what he said. He said, every sickness and disease can be traced back to a mineral deficiency in the human body. So I think he was onto something when he said that, right? Okay, there was a study done by UCLA where they tested spinach to see how much iron it contained. So in 1953, there was enough iron in 1 bowl of spinach to keep your body's functioning, or keep the amount of iron in your body that you need for a whole entire week. So you eat 1 bowl, you're good for a week on iron. Then they did the study again in the same area on spinach, and in 2007, and does anyone have any guesses how many bowls it would have taken in 2007? If you don't already know. Any guesses? Any? How many? 3? 30? It would have taken 51 bowls of spinach. That's crazy, right? Who can eat 51 bowls of spinach?
Me.
Popeye doesn't even eat that much spinach. So that's not a good thing because, well, I'll get to this part in a second. There was, this is called, you can Google it, and let me just see what the name is so I can tell you, right? Senate Document 264. If you Google that, it's really long, but here's a couple paragraphs from that. Okay, and this is a study that the government issued. So I'll just read what it says. It says, the alarming fact is that foods, fruits, and vegetables and grains now being raised on millions of acres of land that no longer contain enough of certain needed minerals are starving us, no matter how much of them we eat. No man of today can eat enough fruits and vegetables to supply his system with the minerals he requires for perfect health, because his stomach is not big enough to hold them. That's sad, right? So basically what that's saying is we can eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, but our stomachs are not capable of holding the amount of food we need to get the nutrition we need. So our bodies are literally, we're starving of those nutrients. So, like I said, the government was the one in charge of that study, and when they found out how much it would take to remineralize the soil so that it would be good, when they found out how much it would cost, they just swept the study under the rug. They're like, oh, never mind, we'll just leave it that way. So, pretty sad, right? Okay, the Dirty Dozen, it's a study, I think they come out every year. Is it every year? They let people know what are the top produce that are toxic. I guess the top most.
These are real issues that are linkable now to where are the problems lying. And so the things that Mackenzie's teaching are very empowering if you have a way to combat all of this, which most people aren't even aware that this is even happening.
Right, so knowledge is power, right? It's a simple problem with a simple solution, we just need to know about it. Okay, so some of you are probably familiar with alkaline and acidic. Probably, I know I learned about it in science somewhere in school. Or if you've ever seen a pool being tested, if any of you have a swimming pool, they have those little strips to test the water so that you know it's safe to swim in, right? So they have to balance it with different acids and chlorines. So that's similar. Our bodies also have a pH level, a pH scale, a pH balance. And the perfect balance, the perfect place to be is between 7.0 and 7.5. So when you are there, you're at what's called the homeostasis level, where our body is, it's at the level where it can fight off those diseases. You know, the cancers, the different things. It can't exist when our bodies are at that level. Does that make sense? So when we drop below this level, that's when the problems start to occur. When we drop below that level, it's called acidosis, and what happens is our body is looking for the nutrients, but it's not finding them in our food and in our digestive system. So what it's doing is it's going and pulling them from our bones and our organs, and so things like osteoporosis, that's where that comes into play, because it's pulling those from our body because it's not getting them from the food, and that's when we're in an acidic state. So this is where the chronic illnesses like cancer, diabetes, digestive, autoimmune, obesity, depression, and fatigue, this is where they thrive, is in that acidic level. Here are some of the things that are really acidic that are in our diets. So you have things like artificial sweeteners, beef and pork, cheese, soft drinks, turkey, corn, coffee, reverse osmosis waters where they, you know, the filtered water where they pull all the minerals out. And some of these things are healthy, right? We need some of those things because we do need some things that are acidic. But the problem is our diet is overwhelmingly acidic. So that's where the problems come in. Things like soda, well, okay, just for instance, if we drop to a level 4 on the acidic level, we would die. We can't be alive anymore. And when we're drinking soda, what do you think that is on the acidic scale? Any ideas? Do you remember?
2.5.
Yeah, 2.5. So it's like drinking death, literally. Right? And how many people are drinking soda all day long? You know, you see that all the time. And not only is it acidic, but when you're drinking the carbonation, it's freezing your immune system for, I think it's 12 hours. It paralyzes it. So your body's acidic, you freeze your immune system, how are problems not going to happen, right? So it's pretty eye-opening. Food-related diseases, so type 2 diabetes passed up smoking as the #1 reversible cause of death. So, you know, smoking, you can stop smoking and get healthier. Same thing with this, it's food-related, change our diets, take care of the problem, you know, balance ourselves out, which we'll talk about how to do that, then it's reversible, right? Anything else you want to mention on that? I saw you.
No, that slide's very eye-opening and telling, and you add the processed foods, which not only don't have the minerals, they have things in them that are poisons and toxins that are attacking the body. So it's like you said, you know, we bring down the body's defenses by suppressing it and by not feeding it properly, and it's slowly over time. So we know not to drink bleach; it'll kill you, or you'll be rushed off to the emergency center. But this is killing us slowly, so it starts to wear down the cells on a very important level, but it does it slowly over time, where those cells can always run optimally and superior. We just are chipping away at them, and we're doing that by the things that we're introducing the body to, and we can really turn that around, and that really affects us. Not being able to focus, not having enthusiasm and energy. People are turning to stimulants where food should give you your energy that you need. And, you know, being able to play sports or being able to get through the day working, have a good attitude. Once all that stuff starts to drop and you get it all out of balance, your mood drops, your attitude drops, your enthusiasm, your and you have this fatigue, and that totally affects our lives in a negative impact.
Right. So the problem is very simple, like I was saying. It's just that we are out of balance. How many of our pantries, or this is the average American household pantry right here, is you have artificial colorings and sweeteners and processed foods, and 80% of these foods didn't even exist 20 to 30 years ago. Someone formulated them in a factory or, in a lab somewhere, and now it's on the shelves of the grocery store. And none of it is from the earth, none of it is food. So if we can just balance this out, then, it doesn't mean we can never have some of those things. Yeah, we can eat Doritos every now and then, have pizza, whatever. We just had Thanksgiving, a lot of yummy, delicious things. It's not about totally, taking those out. It's just about balancing. So I'm really grateful that I know about Isagenix, that I was introduced to it, and that I'm able to enlighten other people and share the information. And I'm so grateful for this man, John Anderson is the formulator of Isagenix, and he has had well over 30 years of experience, and his career title, I guess, is called a private label manufacturer. So basically what he did is he would have companies like GNC, Nature's Way, I think the US military, over 600 different companies. They would come knock on his door and just say, hey John, can you give us a product that does this, this, and this? And he would get to work with his ingredients, formulate the product, and submit it to the company. So that's what he did for over 30 years. And he retired from doing that in the year 2000. And by the way, he retired as the third wealthiest man in the state of Arizona. So he could have very well just retired, lived his life comfortably, and enjoy his retirement. But he felt really inspired and motivated to come out of retirement 2 years later in 2002 and start his own company, because all those years of formulating for other companies, he said they never once didn't change or compromise his formula. So basically, he would submit a product and the companies will say, well, thank you, we're going to change it up a little bit because we want it to be cheaper for us, higher profit margins, everything like that. So he was frustrated because he knew he could create these incredible products, but none of the companies would stick to his formulation. So he knew the answer was to start his own company. So that's where Isagenix was, where it started, where it was born, and that was in 2002. And he teamed up with Jim and Kathy Coover, who are the co-founders, and they are changing the world, and they have been changing the world for the last 12 years. And he said, I'll have people feeling and looking better than they ever have. And that's what he's doing. And it's because he's extremely knowledgeable and extremely passionate about what he does, but not only is he knowledgeable about ingredients, but the way he puts them together, and he symbiotically formulates them, where he takes, it's like magic basically. No one knows how he does it, but he takes little pieces of ingredients, combines them somehow, which is absorbable for the body, so that the body can actually, that's a huge thing, is not just getting the nutrients in and having them wash out of our body, but to be absorbed by the bloodstream and by the cells. And
you know something about John Anderson,
I
right?
do, yeah. She was bit by a brown recluse on her finger, and I didn't go to, I don't remember exactly what it was. It was an event, and someone had said that because she had been bit, I didn't know what it was on her finger. It was a pitching finger too. It was worse. No. Anyway, we were really afraid. I was afraid, and it just kept getting deeper and deeper. I mean, it just started eating her finger away. And John Anderson actually had been bit himself by a brown recluse, and it almost killed him. And he had formulated, it's like this mud. I mean, it was this dirt, minerals, and I mean, it actually got hot. He formulated this stuff for her, sent it up, and I mean, look, you can't even tell that she.
Really?
I mean, show me a finger. Do you even?
You can't tell.
I know, you can't tell.
Well,
That's what I'm
I started
saying.
eating away my whole hand, and then as soon as and we kept trying all these different oils and everything, and couldn't get rid of it. And then we put that on it, and the next day it was just scabbed up, and I was like, oh,
this is weird. And
That was just our personal testimony.
Yeah,
Like,
it
that's
was-
when we were like, okay.
But it wasn't
this
about the
guy-
Isagenix, it was about his formulation.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nothing to do with this company, but it was
Yeah,
his formulated
it was his own.
stuff to
He
save.
sent it in a Tupperware. I mean, it was like, they literally
Yeah.
just sent this thing, it was like, take it and taught her about it, that it wasn't like a poison, that it was actual parasites and it drew the parasites out of her body.
And
So like, this guy is
still,
gifted. for
we did
whatever
have
reason.
issues with her parasites. I mean, you knew that Dave
Yeah.
had gone through her because she had other places, but we put it on there. I mean, really,
That's awesome.
it's crazy. So you know what he knows. I mean, we know.
That was our
To have that
testimony.
personal experience, if we
Yeah.
didn't take the time to do that.
I know. Well, it's a
Exactly.
dangerous thing. And then he said, send us a picture, and we sent a picture afterwards, and he said, well, that's healing. And I went, yeah. So it's crazy. It was amazing.
We're starting to call him the plant whisperer.
Are you?
He's a genius, a botanical genius.
Yeah, he's a genius.
Yeah, sorry, that's, I just
No, that's great.
No, thanks
That
for
is-
sharing that. That's incredible. I didn't know that part of the story. That's really cool.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a genius, and I mean, he's traveled all over the world and different cultures and studying, and he's just so passionate about it. And I believe I know he was born to do what he's doing. So back to this chart that we were looking at, they call him the mineral man, and it's because he's solving this problem of the mineral deficiencies, giving us the products to put those minerals, the 90 essential nutrients we need back into our body through these products. So it's pretty incredible. He's incredible. Okay, so I'm just going to dive into the 3 products that I mentioned in the beginning, just to give you a sense of the individual products. So starting with right here, the Isaline shake, which I'm in love with. I haven't gone a day almost in 10 years, 9-10 years without putting the shake into my body. Not only it has all of the 90 essential nutrients that I've been mentioning, plus it has a delivery system. Like I mentioned, it's not just getting into your body and then flushing out the majority of the nutrients. John uses enzymes, live active enzymes, to have the nutrients delivered to our body. So if you look on the back of the shake canister right here, you can look at it. It says after mixing, drink within 10 minutes, because those enzymes start breaking down. They want to deliver those nutrients to your body, so you can't just make it and have it sit for 30 minutes, because they're all breaking down. And so that's really awesome. And then another huge thing with the shake is the protein source. There's so many different proteins. Everyone thinks they have the best protein. If you're buying protein, it's basically just throwaway product, I'm sorry to say, because it's grade level is a grade level 2, which is extremely low, and it's coming from protein. The protein is coming from cows here in the US, and the problem with that is that they're being pumped with hormones, antibiotics. They're being way overfed food that they shouldn't be eating, and it affects the quality of the protein. So Isagenix and John Anderson, they knew, okay, we can't get our protein from here, so we have to go somewhere else. And where we get the protein is from New Zealand, where they have the highest grade protein in the world. It's a law that you can't touch the cows, can't pump things into them. They have to be free range and grazing, grass fed. And it's called Happy Cow Certified. It literally says that right on the canister, Happy Cow. So it's a grade level 7, and that's huge. That's a huge deal. So that's a little bit about that. The next one, this Cleanse for Life right here, that's like the magic. I think it's the magic juice of Isagenix. That's where a lot of you hear a lot of weight loss testimonials in Isagenix, and this has a lot to do with it right here, is because, and we'll go into this a little bit later, but that cleanse, what it's doing is, because we can put so much good nutrition in our body, but we're still being bombarded with the toxins and the chemicals, just in the air we breathe and the water we drink. So we have to remove those. We have to take out the bad, remove the impurities, and then put in the good nutrition. So that's what the cleanse does, is it's removing those toxins from our cells. It's not a colon cleanse, it's completely different. And I absolutely, it makes you feel just like a whole new person after doing it, because you're literally, your cells are being cleaned. I'll get into that a little bit more later. The Ionic Supreme, people call it the Superman product of Isagenix, because it takes your body above and beyond what, you know, it's in perfect condition, but this just kicks it up a notch where it's full of adaptogens, so it's helping your body with recovery. If you work out a lot, it helps people sleep better. It just helps your body do what it's supposed to do, basically. And it's really, really good for stress, because we live in a very stressful society, you know, whether it's mental or emotional or physical stress, whatever it is, this really, really helps your body handle it properly and recover, like I mentioned. So, anything you want to mention about Ionix?
Yeah, John said he could have made a whole, well, all three of those could make their own company. But he said Ionix was his greatest formulation before Product B came out. And he's just learned from other cultures, like, you know how people drink coffee and it makes them feel invincible for a short amount of time? But that's not a healthy way to do it. That's going to break down the body and make it more susceptible the longer you do that. This does it holistically. He's learned from other cultures what adaptogens and which minerals and which botanicals increase your body's ability to perform at a high level. And we all need to perform at a high level in today's society, and this does it holistically. So it's not breaking down the organs by pumping them up, so to speak. It's actually building the organs up. And they also call it the big stress reducer. That's the nickname for it. And you take only an ounce to 2 ounces of that a day.
Yeah, it's awesome.
People
so
love
these, did anyone learn something about these core products? Do you feel like you have a better understanding? Did I do my job? Yeah, okay, good.
Can I say something about Carter though? I don't know if I
Carter.
mentioned it. Carter has been taking it since he was 18 months. At 7 years old, we came home from Halloween one night and he said, "Mom, I had too much candy, I need a shake." So what was his body telling him? Candy makes me feel yucky and a shake makes me feel good. He's too young to know all of this stuff. He just knows by what he's correlated the experience with. So when you're in 7.0 to 7.5, that's perfect health. And when you drop below that, your body becomes acidic or it becomes sick. And so I measured Carter's pH level with some strips. He was at 7.5. I measure it periodically, and I did it, with this specific time he was about 8 or 9, and his friend was over at the house with him. I measured his friend was at about 6, which means his friend is already creating and generating disease in his body at 7, 8 years old. Carter's just going away, and he eats the food that his friends have at their house, he eats the school food, but he does at least a shake a day. And it's been almost 10 years now, and he loves the shakes. He still asks for them, he still wants them. You don't have to force him, "Here, you got to take your shake before you get to have this." He wants his shake. So, "Dad, can you make me a shake now?" You know?
Yeah.
His body's craving it. Healthy body's craving healthy
Our
food.
body knows what it needs. Yeah, and it's funny too, because yeah, you hardly even crave the junk when you're at this level, because I mean, you have it every now and then, but you're like, okay, at least you're not like binging on it, you know, you can have some and then just be like, okay, that's enough.
One other thing too, they did a clinical study on all this, which we won't have time to go into, but the Mayo Clinic is now recommending that shake at the Mayo Clinic, which is the top of the chain when it comes to medical help. And it's because Dr. Arcerio's clinical that they did on the products. So pretty cool stuff.
Pretty awesome. Okay, so just quickly to go back to that cleanse I was talking about and all the toxins. So even if we're eating, you know, drinking our shakes, eating healthy and all that stuff, you can't escape from the toxins. You know, there's a study done where Eskimos were finding, jet fuel, rocket fuel in their breast milk. Eskimos who don't even live in an industrial society. But it's because the earth is like a big giant fish bowl where we can't escape. We just really can't, but we can do something about it. So, and there was a study done on tap water where they just tested a bunch of random family homes like this, tap water, and they never found less than, I think it was 500 to 800 different chemicals in every single home, where, you know, they're already going through the purification process, but still these are getting through. Things like arsenic, lead, rocket fuel, scary things like that. So it's just unavoidable, but at least
prescription drugs.
Yeah, prescription drugs. And then we already talked about the crops being sprayed with all the poison, with all the pesticides. and then it's in our air. And then there was a study done on where they tested the umbilical cord blood of newborn babies, and they never found less than 300 chemicals in the newborn baby's blood, where the placenta is there to help to just purify so that the baby's not susceptible to those things. But it wasn't 1 out of 10 or 3 out of 10, but it was 10 out of 10 times, 10 out of 10 babies where they found that, so 100% across the board. So that's pretty scary, right? But at least there is a solution for it. Okay, this is like my favorite thing to explain to people, because how many of you have dieted before? Have tried cutting calories, gone to the gym, eating all celery? How many of you? Can you raise your hands? Right? I have. Everyone has, right? Well, diets are extremely frustrating, and here's why. Because our body, these little circles represent toxins. What happens is our body is exposed to these toxins, they get into our blood, and our liver signals our body to make fat to go surround the toxins so that it protects our organs. It's acting as a protector. And what happens when you're dieting and cutting calories and sweating at the gym is you might lose some weight, but it's just because you're shrinking down the fat cell. So the toxin didn't go away, but you shrunk down the fat, right? And so what happens is some of those toxins start to escape and they get back into our bloodstream, and then our body sends an alarm signal to our liver to create more fat. So then the second that you cheat on your diet, it's like the pounds just come back on, and the yo-yo diet and all that stuff happens because you didn't address the initial problem, which is the toxin. Does that make sense why the rebound happens? Well, when we're cleansing, here's what happens. So our body's full of toxins. We drink the cleanse, it goes in, removes the toxins, it removes the impurities from the cells, and then the fat has no need to be there, so it just releases and it just falls off, and it's awesome. And it's very maintainable as long as we're staying balanced. So there's no rebound. You're just keeping your body balanced, keeping it at that 7.0, 7.5 level, cleansing regularly, and we've been on the products for 9-10 years, and it hasn't been a problem maintaining. So it's really, really awesome. So it's a way of life. So then here's the pantry again. See, now we have Isagenix on the shelves. We have all the nutrients, and it's just about balancing. So now we're balanced and we're good, right? Okay, so a lot of people ask, okay, that's all great, but what about the cost, right? So let's just compare it to a fast food meal, common everyday American meal, versus an Isagenix meal. So here you have, I think it's a Whopper, fries, and a Coke, a large Coke, right? And then here's the Isagenix Isoline meal replacement. It is a meal replacement, it's not just a protein shake. So with nutrition in that meal, it's extremely minimal, right? We have the white bread. The whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. You have trans fats, soda that we talked about, drinking death. So it's very minimum nutrition, and that's being generous, right? And then in this meal we have maximum nutrition. It's getting absorbed into the body. It's awesome. How many calories do we think are in this meal? Any guesses? How many?
Over 2,000.
Over 2,000? Close. 1,830 calories in that one meal. And it doesn't even keep you satisfied. It's like just sitting in your stomach, and then 2 hours later you're back in the refrigerator, because it's not about the size, it's about the nutrients that keep you full. Right? So in an Isagenix shake, there's only 240 calories. That's awesome. The cost is $8.47 for that one meal. And then the cost, and I love explaining this to people, because the cost for one shake comes to less than $3. That's less than like a 6-inch sub at Subway, right? So a lot of people, including us, we saved money right away because this is a meal. So we're doing some of our shopping at the grocery store, some of our shopping at Isagenix, and it's actually saving us money because, first of all, we're not even craving the junk anymore. We're not eating out as much. So it's really cost effective and efficient. So I love doing that analogy for people. Okay, so I will turn the time over. This is a good time to turn the time over to my dad. So I'll just quickly introduce him. He's gone. Okay, where do I begin? He's the 69th millionaire in Isagenix. They've coined him as the mechanic to millionaire. He began as a mechanic working at Stephen Wade here in St. George for years. I grew up knowing my dad as being a mechanic, and he was just frustrated in so many ways, especially with his health and not able to lose the weight that he wanted to. And so I'll let him explain, kind of get into his story, but he's the 69th millionaire in Isagenix. He's touched hundreds and thousands of lives. And he was the Isagenix Man of the Year last year, and he's just a pretty awesome guy. So I'll turn the time over to him.
Let's hear it from Mackenzie. She did an awesome job. That's a good job I've seen her do it. Good job. I'm so proud. Cleansing made total sense to me when I saw that fat cell and the yo-yo dieting. It made total sense to me because I yo-yo dieted a lot. In fact, I was on a diet right here when we found Isagenix at the Dixie Center. I was riding my bike to work and back. I would take the long way around, and I'd go down Conequint and work my way around the backside to the dealership there. I was putting 20 miles a day on the bike. And then I would go to Dixie College, run stadiums a couple times a week. And then I would go to Results Gym, which is, as you're going down the hill here. And I couldn't lose. I lost like 6 pounds, and I totally plateaued. And I wouldn't lose anymore. So right there, I was on a diet and that exercise for about 2 months. That's when we were introduced. And they said, quit exercising. We want to show you that nutrition has way more to do with your results than exercising. So I said, okay. My first month I didn't exercise and I lost 27 pounds. That's the same shorts right there. And I was blown away. Everybody at work was blown away. And my attitude, my energy went up. I stopped drinking energy drinks. I didn't eat coffee anymore. I had to have those to get me through the day. I knew they were unhealthy, but I just couldn't get through the day. All of a sudden I started putting this stuff in my body and my energy went through the roof. And then I started exercising, working out again, and going to the tanning salon. And that went right back to my high school wrestling weight. It was amazing. And I wasn't even working out as hard right there as I was right there. So I learned through the trainers in Isagenix, about 80% of your results comes from your nutrition. You really want to refine that, then go ahead and start doing the extreme exercising and things like that, and you'll get into your prime shape. It's doable. So I got really excited about that. I had no interest in the business. I just wanted to share with people what was happening for me, and a lot of people came up and asked me what was going on. So I shared it with about 12 people without making a dime, because I wasn't interested in the business. I didn't go to any of their meetings or anything like that. And I said, here, pay me what I paid for it. But after that, strangers started calling me. And here I was throwing newspapers in the morning, fixing cars, and then fixing cars at night. And I said, maybe I ought to look into this. And it was awesome because 4 months later I quit my job because I replaced the income with these products because they work so well. And we're in a health crisis, we're in an obesity epidemic, and if this works and sustains that weight loss, then you've found what everybody's looking for. At least anybody that's willing to do the work. It's not a magic pill, you still got to do your work and be committed. But enough people are. They're just frustrated. So it turned into this incredible thing of being able to start helping people's lives. Mike here, she's keeping it off, and she tried losing the weight before. She said, I always lost the weight, but I gained it back and then some. I never could keep the weight off. So Isagenix has become this thing to really maintain. Now this guy, Everett, this was over at the Comfort Inn and did a meeting. This was years ago, like 6 or 7 years ago. He did the same products Jill and Jesse did, but he gained weight instead of losing it. He was 112 pounds when he started, and he was using one of those walkers. He was just too feeble, couldn't drive a car. He weighed 112 pounds. And he did the same products that these guys did that Mackenzie talked about, and he gained 12 pounds in 30 days, doing 2 shakes with that protein in it. So he actually built lean muscle, stopped using the little walker. I'd be presenting and he'd be sitting in the back. I'd say, Everett, where's your walker? And he's like, I don't know, the grandkids were playing with it, we can't find it. So it was cool. He started driving a car again too. And then Lori, who I'm friends with, a gal in my group, Holly DeMott, was trained by Lori to to lose some weight, but Holly got on the products while she was training her. She was so impressed, she decided to get on them, which is a hard thing to do, get a trainer to switch. She was sponsored by M.E.K. And she had never taken a first place in any of her competitions. She gets on the products and wins 3 first places in a row and 1 Miss Universe. We have now 2 people in Isagenix that have 1 Miss Universe. And she says it was totally because of the products. They make over $1 million a year now. They lived in cold Minnesota and they just moved to Southern California. So this is Roy Williams from the Dallas Cowboys. Shane's got about 8 of the Dallas Cowboys on it. On MTV Cribs, if you go to YouTube, type in Isagenix and Roy Williams, he'll go to his refrigerator and you'll see him pull out Ionic Supreme. He says, I love this stuff, and he holds it by him and then he puts it back in the fridge. So really cool stuff. I'm going to go past this, all right? Is that all right? Okay. So I want to go into something I've been lecturing very enthusiastically and very committed for the last 3 years, this product right here, and what John Anderson has formulated. This is a breakthrough. There's never ever been anything like this. And I'm going to go through quickly. I'm not going to cover all the science, but you can watch it online, or there'll be a time when we do a meeting just on product B. But I've been going around the country just sharing this for the last 3 years. I've done close to 1,000 meetings in 3 years, so pretty intense. So I want to teach you what a telomere is and what that has to do with every symptom of aging and every degenerative disease. So like Mackenzie said, this body, internally and externally, is made up of over 100 trillion cells. Let's look at a skin cell. So here we have a skin cell. What's the thing in the middle of the cell called? Starts with an N. Nucleus. So let's blow that nucleus up because we want to take a look at these chromosomes. These chromosomes contain your DNA and it's all coiled up like a slinky, smashed together. And the DNA is really important. It's who we are physically. It's the expression of who we are physically in every cell. So let's blow that chromosome up, and there's something called the telomere. They were discovered in the 1930s, but they didn't know much about them because technology wasn't advanced far enough to really know what was going on. This telomere, well, they can measure a whole chromosome now because of technology, and they can measure the length of your telomere. What we've learned is that telomere is getting shorter and shorter. So let's blow up just the telomere. And the way they measure this is in something called bases. So this telomere, when you're conceived, is 15,000 bases long. Okay? That's a perfect telomere. And as our cells start to divide through DNA replication, that telomere starts to shorten. We'll lose 5,000 bases in the womb by the time we're born. Because our cells continue to divide, our telomere gets shorter, and when it hits a certain level, it starts to have adverse effects on us physically. Why? Because as it shortens, it's damaging the DNA. It's losing bits of information in the DNA every time it shortens. And if that DNA is the expression of who we are physically and we're losing bits of information, it negatively impacts our cells. And it shows up in symptoms of aging and disease. So 10,000 bases are left when we're born. When we reach 5,000 bases, we die. And they can tell you pretty accurately, or they can tell you your average telomere length by drawing your blood. So conceived with 15,000 bases, born with 10,000, and will die at 5,000. And it's as we get to this certain point, it's like going over the hump, now we start to see the issues with our skin, our hair, our eyes, our organs, our bones, our cardiovascular system, our brain, because it's damaging the DNA, the bits of information are being lost. That was awarded the Nobel Prize in 2009, making the correlation between aging and disease and the telomere. So if you use a shoestring analogy, pretend that's your chromosome, and this is the telomere. The telomere is just holding it together. It's not the information, it's the part of the chromosome that holds it together. So I went to Lowe's and picked up some rope and some red electrical tape. That's your telomere right there. And what Bill Andrews, who discovered this other gene that we'll talk about, the telomerase gene, they discovered through the Nobel Prize research is when you're right around 5,000 bases, it's like losing the plastic tip on the shoestring. The DNA just frays. Now that's a lot of bits of information that are lost. So it's a process. It's a gradual process. So here's where you're conceived. This would be a pre-teenager. See how the telomere is shorter? Well, there's the DNA that's fraying, which means you lost the information in that much DNA. Not enough to really show signs of aging. Like, I don't know, do you still pitch the same as you did when you were 13, 14, 15 years old? Or do you feel like you're slowly getting, the body doesn't recover as fast? That's this issue, right? The soreness that you didn't used to get, it's a telomere issue. Every symptom of aging and every degenerative disease. Now, by the time you're in your midlife, look at how much telomere you lost. So there's a lot of bits of information that are lost from the DNA. So you're losing software in your cells, which means the cell isn't going to run as good. So now the skin, hair, eyes, organs, and bones, they're not nowhere near like they were here. And then when you reach 5,000 bases, the cell shuts down and dies. It's called senescence. And they know that it's right around 5,000 bases. So that might be something new for you guys. That information's been around for a couple decades, but it's not widely known. It's not like common public information, except for what we're doing here. So Bill Andrews, who I'm really good friends with, I work with, and we've done this presentation together, and I put this presentation together. He was featured in Popular Science as the man who would stop time. And he's world renowned. He's been on all kinds of talk shows. In fact, he's up for an Oscar right now. They have a documentary that's out right now called The Immortal List, and it's showing in select theaters around the country. So he's actually up for an Oscar in that. This was a 14-page article in Popular Science. It's one of the longest articles on one person ever in this magazine, and it was because it was important information. And they called him the man who would stop time, because he discovered the gene that prevents this from happening. Does anybody know what it's called, besides Mackenzie and George? You guys remember what it's called?
I'm just saying.
It's kind of hard. I was pronouncing it wrong for my first couple presentations. Telomerase gene. The telomerase gene. So we have the telomere, and then we have this telomerase gene. And what he found is in the reproductive cells, the telomere never gets short. It just always stays like that. Never gets like this. And every cell has that telomerase gene, and he's the one that identified it, named it, and was able to show what it was doing to keep that reproductive cell like this, the actual sperm and egg cells. All of your cells have the telomerase gene, it's just mostly suppressed because of the way we treat our bodies nutritionally. By 1997, he was able to activate that gene successfully in human skin cells in a petri dish. So they invented the equipment. They have the only equipment that can monitor this gene in human skin cells in vitro. And what they did is they were able to get the human skin cells to go from this to this back to this. So they reversed the DNA damage in skin cells, human skin cells. That was a very big deal. Harvard got involved and they did it in mice with the same thing Bill was doing. And that's where everything goes crazy, because they saw these old mice all of a sudden get young, physically. Their hair grew back, their skin got soft and smooth, their activity level, we slow down as we get older. These mice were acting like they did when they were young again. Their bones grew back. That osteoporosis that we develop, the doctor typically tells you to take more what when you have osteoporosis? Calcium. They didn't give the mice more calcium. They just activated this gene and their bones grew back. Even more significant, they lost their mental acuity, their ability to recall memory, their cognitive ability. They had like severe Alzheimer's. All of a sudden, these same mice were passing the cognitive test. Not only that, their brains grew back, the size of it. So it was a complete reversal of this, all of the symptoms of aging. And so then from there, and that caused a lot of excitement, what they learned through those mice that they didn't even know until that point, is that the DNA could repair itself. It could reconnect and re-establish those bits of information that were lost. Prior to that, they didn't even know that that could happen. So not only did they see the telomere grow back, they saw the DNA, which would be even more important, be reestablished. That reverses your symptoms of aging. So they then tried to find compounds that you and I could consume to have that happen. And that's where they've been stuck. I was at a lecture of his in 2009. He said, we call it the race to telomerase. We're going to, who could figure out how to do that first with some compounds that we can consume. So he was working with pharmaceutical companies at that point, 2009. Now, by 2009, they had tried over 304,000 compounds. And this is a screen, this is the big Megatron screen. Bill was standing over on that side telling us what we're looking at. He said these little red lines were able to turn on that gene in human skin cells with compounds. So in vitro, they got the skin cells with compounds to go from this to this and back to this. And then as the skin cells continued to divide, they stayed like that. They said there was no limit to the amount of times the skin cells would divide. So why didn't we get those in 1999? They were all too toxic. They were harsh chemicals. That's the only thing they could find to turn it on. And they tried everything they could get their hands on, even natural. The natural ones wouldn't cause these red lines. Those are called hits. So they found I think it's 7 or 8 compounds, but they were all unconsumable. So that's where John Anderson comes in, and Mackenzie's already done a great job of talking about his ability to formulate. A guy named Peter Greenlaw introduced these two together and said, Bill, you need to partner up with John because he knows how to work with natural ingredients, probably in a way that you haven't tried. And Bill at first said, I don't think so. I'm not going to partner up with the wellness industry. We're scientists, we don't do that. And Peter just kept insisting. Finally, they got together and they collaborated. They announced their collaboration in 2009. He got ridiculed by his colleagues for partnering up with a nutritional company. So, fast forward now, we're in 2011. The last time I showed you this was 2009. Bill said, what I'm about to show you, we did not expect from John Anderson. It completely shocked us. In fact, we consider John a genius at our lab because what he did, he says, you don't understand the astronomical percentages that he overcame to do what he did. He said he sent us 15 formulations. So John built his own lab around what Bill was teaching him about telomeres, and John said, I would have formulated for telomeres a long time ago, I just didn't know about them. So John starts sending these formulations over to Bill's lab. Bill puts them in the skin cells. First 15, they get one hit. And they think, wow, he's lucky. And then they said, he sent another 15, got another hit. In less than 80 attempts, John got these 7 hits. And you can see the similarities between those and those. Bill said this will change the world as we know it, the landscape of human health. And this just moved them forward about 15 years, 10 to 15 years. He said this will become a household name. It will become a $1 trillion product because there are no health issues that aren't related to telomeres. And I know what this will do for telomeres. So they released it in 2011. And I did my first meeting at Dr. Purcell's office. There was about 20 people there. About 15 got started on the product. A handful of them were getting results that we had never seen from nutrition. Blew Dr. Purcell away, as well as me, and what people were seeing in less than 30 days. Not everybody, but a handful of them. And when people get those kind of results, what do? They start talking. That's what's turned into all the meetings for me. About 1,000 meetings now, and I can't keep up. I have to decide where I'm going to go. They didn't stop there. They kept making the product better and better. And in 2012, they passed up what Bill Andrews said would be impossible. They found 2 really big hits between John and Bill working together. This is an HBO. I didn't know I had this video on here. This is not an Isagenix video. This is HBO on a documentary. And listen to what he says about John Anderson. It's not very loud, so I gotta make sure I turn it up all the way.
We've seen for natural products, and we were pretty excited. It was the 11th compound we tested out of the first 15 samples that John Anderson sent us, and it was a hit. So we use the term hit in science a lot. So when we screen a lot of samples, we'll screen like thousands of samples at a time. But I have to confess, at first we thought, wow, was he extremely lucky? Because we thought, how could he only be asking us to screen 15 samples? After screening thousands without a hit, we need a lot more samples than 15 if we're expecting to get a hit. We've got a hit. So he sends us another 15. And we get another hit.
They were so blown away by that. They wanted to know how he was doing that, and John's like, yeah, right, that's going to remain top secret. So just in closing up here, I'm going to go past, we did an in vivo clinical study that proves product B does what it does. This is in humans in 6 months. The University of Arizona did it. It's a big deal, but I just know that we're pressed for time here. This is the newest release of Product B, which has 20%. Just kidding. That's her great friend, lady M.E.K. The whole town, they live in Minnesota. This is their farm home, and everybody's in an uproar about them. And her husband had some skin issues removed from his ear and from his nose, but he had some right here he didn't want to have removed because of his vocal cords, and he's a singer. He sings at church and he loves it. So he thought it might damage his vocal cords. In 3 weeks it scratched off. Just came off. Liddy has pictures of it, but we took that off because it was too much of a pain. This is her toenail. I didn't know this was on here. I hid this. I don't show that anymore, but for some reason it's on here. I was there when we took this picture. She had been on Product B for 1 week. See how that's new right there? She's had this black and green toenail for over 5 years. She's diabetic, she has neuropathy, she couldn't even feel it cutting into her skin. That's 1 week of being on Product B. 2 weeks later it fell off in the bathtub. A brand new healthy toenail was growing up in it. She has a whole new toenail now. That doesn't look healthy, but it is. It grew in, it's a perfectly good toenail now. That doesn't happen for an 83-year-old. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And they start lopping off your toes when you have diabetes. So, pretty awesome. I got to watch that happen. Athletes are just, she crossed this finish line, only 6 other people ever had. She's the first female. It's in the Himalayas, it's a 138-mile run. It goes up to 18,000 feet, back down and back up and back down. You only get 60 hours to get across, so you never stop running, you never sleep. Otherwise you wouldn't make it. She tried it 2 years earlier and didn't make it, but this time she was on Product B. She's the first female and the 7th person to cross the finish line in under 60 hours. Bill did it the following year. He felt so good on Product B, he did it at 60 years old. He did it in 50 hours, 51 minutes. There were kids in there younger than 30 years old that didn't even make it past the first line. He's breaking records now that he set back when he was 40 years old. That was on 3rd generation, the one before the one we're taking now. Since getting on this one, he says it's ridiculous. His 10-mile run, it's unexplainable. So here's the whole program, and I'm not going to go into how to take it and what to do, but that's where the coaching comes in and the personal touch with the people that help you get started. They'll coach you through it. That's a maintenance program right there. I make sure that goes with me when I'm on the road, no matter where I go. On a cruise, we just got back from Paris a couple weeks ago. All of this went with us. When do you want to feel your best? Always. While I'm on vacation, for sure I want to feel my best. So I make sure this stuff goes with me all the time. I still eat great food and indulge, but this helps to get rid of that indulging food that's not so healthy. Where before it was just bad food on top of bad food and it affected my life. Now I make sure I put this in and it takes care of the bad food that I eat when I do it. So, and just ending up here, do we want to go over this real quick? Or are we done?
Yeah, well, I know that just things are exploding right now, and I know there's people that are getting started and they just, just with the opportunity side, what this is done, because I believe, I know my dad believes, and many people believe, you can be well and you can be healthy and you can lose weight, but you're not really truly well until you're financially well also, because that's one of the biggest stresses is finances. And
time freedom.
Time freedom, and the heart attack rate on Monday morning goes up by 35% because people hate their jobs, and there's a solution now. And so I never, whether someone is interested in the business or not, I never neglect to tell them about this opportunity and just at least how to get their products paid for, or if they want to go all the way and become an Isagenix millionaire, whatever it is, the sky's the limit. And I believe I never don't tell someone about this because it's not, why is it only good enough for me? It's good, I feel obligated to share it with people, so at least we don't have to go into it, the whole thing. There's lots of videos and ways to get training on it, and we'll help you do that personally, but I at least want to know, some of you might be ready to get going right now, tonight, and there's some time-sensitive bonuses and stuff, so I want to just at least,
go through it real quick.
First couple steps.
Well, it's so cool to watch Mackenzie and George and be with Lucas all day long, every day on Facebook. You're watching the post. And it's not hurting them financially. In fact, their business is growing. So that's wellness, being able to be in control of your entire life. And I can't believe where it's taken me and my family and the income that we have now. I mean, it's literally a 7-figure income a year, which is just like, that's crazy. It's like a fairy tale dream come true. And it's reality and it's happening. In fact, the youngest millionaires are in my group. They're 25 years old. And it's just catching on in this young group because you have people who have shown the way. Isagenix isn't disappearing. They're not changing their comp plan. It's it's just this ship that's just going, and people are jumping on it, and those that see it for what it is are benefiting. So it's $29 a year to become a member. You get the product same price I do. That's it, 29 bucks. You get your own account. It includes the business if you want to do it, but you don't have to, but it's included. So that's your total cost right there to get started. That's your overhead. Now you pick what products you want to use and use them on a daily basis. The best thing you want to do is commit to the products and get results, because it's a results-driven business. So the more you commit to the products, the better the results, the more obvious it is to people who know you. That's how it grew for me, is people asked me what I was doing. So you want to do the business, you've already got it. Once you share it with 2 people, now you're going to get paid on everybody that comes into your group on unlimited levels. I got about 1,500 people a week joining my group. And I'm not even doing it. I could do nothing all week and they're still coming in. Because I started this and kept growing it through the process that I'm going to show you right now. It's very simple. Anybody could duplicate it. It's just a matter of whether you're committed or not. That's it. If you lose your attention and you don't stay inspired, then it's like anything else. I mean, you have to keep your game up to par, right? As far as pitching and softball you play, right? You got to keep yourself motivated, inspired, right? But you stay plugged in. You go to practices. You probably watch things that inspire you. So what I'm going to show you is the outline that grew my business and the roadmap that I followed. So I shared it with 2 people, my wife and my brother-in-law. I signed them up. That made me a consultant, made me able to get a paycheck. You didn't have to sell products, you just get people their own account. So once you do that, 50 bucks, it's a bonus. But you're going to get paid on products being sold. Every time somebody buys their own product through their own website, you get paid a commission. And then we get paid every week. So you don't want to just stop with 2 because that's not very many products being moved. So the next step is to teach them how to get paid. And if you'll do that in your first 30 days, that right there, you'll get 500 bucks. So you sign up 2 people, they start using the products, and they have 2 friends that they're going to introduce to it who sign up. That's called you plus 2, them plus 2. That's 500 bucks right back in your pocket. Now, I didn't stop there. We didn't get any bonuses when I did this. We were just getting paid off of the products that were being ordered through their websites, right? So that's how I built it. I followed this roadmap. We didn't get any bonuses when I did this. So the next step was director. Do it with 4 more people. The red dots represent people I introduced to the lifestyle. And so they would sign up. And then I would teach them to get to consultant. What I call this is teaching somebody how to fish. How to gain their own life freedom. So rather than just giving them a fish, I taught them how to fish. I taught everybody. Do you think everybody went fishing? No, not even close. It's like 80-20 rule, right? So out of the people I did teach, though, some of them did it. And so there's 6 people I personally enrolled. They all brought in 2. I don't even know what that is, but that many people, you can see the dots. If you did that in your first 3 months, it's another $1,100 bonus. The highest you can be as far as rank advancement, and what I follow, is executive. Teach a minimum of 10 people to fish that actually fish. They sign up 2 people. They introduce it to 2 people. That's what I did. That's turned into about 150,000 people because some people started fishing. And when they fish, I get paid on everybody they bring in on unlimited levels. That's a pretty cool compensation plan when you can get paid on other people's efforts. But were they working for me?
No.
They were building their own lifestyle, right? Did you think, I'm going to go make Dad some more money? No. You're going to go make your own money. And because you saw it happen, it was a reality. It wasn't a question of whether I could do it or not. It was a matter of whether you were going to do it or not. And so we have 124 millionaires now. The one that just became a millionaire is Peter Kelly. She's 27 years old. 26. So awesome. So what this does though is and you get $1,400 if you do that in your first 6 months. So it's over $3,000 just in bonuses, not even talking about the PIB bonuses. What's the max? Like what is the amount of money you can make if you got the PIBs along with that?
Well, if you're introducing, like, if you introduce 2 people a week and try to keep that, and then you're bringing them in with one of the highest packs, the President's Pack, you're making $320 a week right there. Some people are making that minimum wage, so you're enjoying, I mean, that's just bonuses. You're introducing 2 people with the President's Pack in 1 week. That's a $320 bonus just as a product
Just in
bonus, not
bonuses.
even these bonuses.
It's called product introductory bonus.
Yeah.
So if
So
they buy
every,
that pack.
yeah, so if you bring someone in with the 30-day system that he was the slide before this, the bonus is $25 every time you introduce someone to that. But if you do 2 people in a 7-day, like 1 week time frame, those bonuses double. So then they're each 50. So that's $100 right there just for introducing.
Plus
2
you're
people.
building your business.
Plus you're building
The
your
residual.
business. It
See
all
this,
stacks up.
these people, and that's what I go for. I don't care if I'm enrolling the people personally. If I go into a meeting and the seats are filled by somebody else, I still benefit on that 100% off of product orders, no bonuses. And I hit number 13 income earner in the company just off of supporting my team, not me going out and recruiting. I had to recruit in the beginning, but then other people started fishing and they said, Dave, will you come to a meeting for me? And you'll do a meeting for anybody, anytime, right? Doesn't matter that you're not enrolling any of them. If somebody signs up, that goes into your organization and you get paid on their product order. That's called passive income.